Imagine arriving in Europe after spending months planning your dream trip. You finally stand in front of a famous landmark. You're hungry, tired, and excited. Then you see a restaurant with a perfect view. The menu is outside, the tables are full, and you think, this must be a great place to eat. So you sit down. An hour later, you've paid far more than you expected for a meal you probably won't remember. And the frustrating part? Just a few streets away, there may have been a small local restaurant serving better food for less money. This is one of the easiest tourist traps to fall into, and it's not the only one. In this video, I'm sharing practical ways to avoid common tourist traps in Europe, spend your money more wisely, and discover food experiences that feel more authentic. And stay until the end, because the final tip is something you can do before you even leave home, and it could completely change the way you experience Europe. Introduction. Welcome back to Travel Wander, the channel where we explore Europe through honest travel experiences, practical advice, and useful tips that help you travel with more confidence. Europe is full of incredible food, fresh pastries from neighborhood bakeries, small cafes hidden along quiet streets, local markets, family-run restaurants, regional dishes that tell you something about the place you're visiting. But when you're traveling for the first time, it can be difficult to know where to eat. How do you avoid overpriced tourist restaurants? How do you find good food without speaking the local language? And how do you enjoy Europe without spending more money than necessary? The goal isn't to avoid every popular place. And it isn't to assume that every restaurant near a landmark is bad. The goal is to make better decisions instead of choosing a place only because it is convenient. So let's begin with one of the most common mistakes travelers make. Tip 1. Don't choose a restaurant only because it is next to a famous landmark. When you're standing near the Eiffel Tower, the Colosseum, or another famous attraction, hunger can make every restaurant look like a good option. You've already spent hours walking. Your feet hurt. You don't want to open a map. You don't want to search for another place. You just want to sit down and eat. That is why restaurants in heavily visited areas can be so tempting. They are easy to find. They are visible, and they are exactly where tired tourists are likely to be. But convenience can come at a price. Some restaurants in major tourist areas may charge more because of their location. That doesn't automatically mean the food is bad, but it does mean you should take a moment before choosing. Instead of sitting at the first restaurant you see, try walking for 5 or 10 minutes away from the busiest area. Notice what changes. The crowds may become smaller. The souvenir shops may disappear. You may begin seeing ordinary cafes, bakeries, neighborhood restaurants, or places where local residents are eating. That doesn't guarantee a perfect meal, but it gives you more options. And having options is important. One simple habit can help. Before you sit down, compare 2 or 3 nearby restaurants. Look at the menu, check the prices, notice the atmosphere, then choose the place that feels right for you. You don't have to walk for an hour. Sometimes moving just a few streets away is enough. And remember, the best view doesn't always mean the best meal. Sometimes the meal you remember most is found on a quiet street you almost didn't explore. But location isn't the only thing that can influence your decision. The next tourist trap can be hiding right in front of you, on the menu. Tip 2. Read the menu before you sit down. A beautiful restaurant can make you assume everything will be simple. You sit down, you order, then the bill arrives, and it is much higher than you expected. One way to avoid surprises is to check the menu before choosing a table. In many places, menus are displayed outside. Take advantage of that. Look at the prices. Check whether the food interests you. See if drinks, service, or other charges are explained. If you don't understand something, ask politely before ordering. There is nothing wrong with wanting to know what you are paying for. Travel is exciting, but your budget still matters. And when you are visiting several cities or countries, small extra costs can add up quickly. Imagine paying a little more than expected for breakfast, then lunch, then dinner. By the end of the trip, those small differences may have become a large amount of money. Checking the menu isn't about being suspicious. It's about being informed, and it can help you choose food you genuinely want instead of ordering quickly because you feel pressured. Another useful tip is to look for local lunch menus or set menus where they are offered. Sometimes these provide a complete meal at a more predictable price. But always check what is included. A deal is only helpful if it gives you something you actually want. And speaking of choosing wisely, the next mistake is something many travelers do because they are afraid of making the wrong choice. Tip 3. Don't let a huge tourist crowd make the decision for you. Have you ever walked past a restaurant and thought, it's full, so it must be amazing? Sometimes that is true, but not always. A busy restaurant may be popular because the food is excellent. It may also be busy because it is directly beside a major attraction. Or because it is easy for large groups to find. Or because it has a very visible location. Crowds can tell you something, but they don't tell you everything. Instead of looking only at how many people are sitting outside, pay attention to the whole picture. Are people enjoying their meals? Does the food look fresh? Are the prices clear? Does the restaurant feel welcoming? Are people arriving because they chose the place, or because it is the first restaurant they saw? And here is something important. A quiet restaurant is not automatically bad either. Maybe you arrived between meal times. Maybe the restaurant has just opened. Maybe it is hidden on a side street. That is why it helps to use several clues rather than one. Good travel decisions usually come from curiosity, not assumptions. And that brings us to something that can help you discover food experiences many visitors miss. Tip 4. Look beyond the most famous restaurants. Before traveling, it is easy to create a long list of restaurants from social media. You see a beautiful plate of food. A creator says, "You have to eat here." The video gets millions of views. And suddenly everyone wants to visit the same place. There is nothing wrong with popular restaurants. Some are famous for a good reason. But when every traveler follows the exact same list, they may miss the smaller places nearby. The bakery with fresh bread in the morning. The neighborhood cafe where people stop before work. The local market selling foods connected to the region. The family-run restaurant that doesn't appear in every travel video. One of the most rewarding parts of travel is discovery. You don't always need to know exactly where you are going. Try giving yourself one meal during the trip without a strict plan. Walk around, observe, see what interests you. You may find something better than the place you originally saved. And even if the meal isn't perfect, you may still gain a memorable experience. Because travel isn't only about finding the best restaurant. It's about learning how people live, eat, and spend time in different places. But there is one mistake that can stop travelers from discovering those experiences. They become afraid of places that don't look familiar. Tip 5. Don't avoid local food just because you can't pronounce it. When you're tired, hungry, and surrounded by a language you don't understand, familiar food can feel safe. You may look for meals you already know. You may choose the same foods you eat at home. And sometimes that is completely fine. But if you travel across Europe without trying local food, you may miss an important part of the experience. Food tells stories. It reflects history, climate, agriculture, traditions, and the ingredients available in a particular region. You don't have to try everything. You don't have to eat something that makes you uncomfortable. But consider choosing one unfamiliar local dish. Ask the server what they recommend. Use a translation app if necessary. Look at photos. And remember that curiosity is part of traveling. Some of the best travel memories begin with, "I've never tried this before." You might discover a new favorite food. You might decide you don't like it. Either way, you experienced something new. And that is far more memorable than ordering the same meal you could have eaten at home. Now, trying local food is important, but where you buy it can also make a major difference. Tip 6. Don't overlook bakeries, markets, and grocery stores. Many travelers think every meal in Europe has to happen in a restaurant. Breakfast at a cafe, lunch at a restaurant, dinner at another restaurant, but that can become expensive very quickly. And it can also limit your experience. Some of the simplest food experiences can be the most enjoyable. Imagine buying fresh bread from a local bakery, choosing fruit, cheese, or snacks from a neighborhood market, then sitting in a park or beside a river for a relaxed meal. You may spend less money. You may discover foods you wouldn't find on a restaurant menu. And you may experience everyday life in a more natural way. Grocery stores can also be surprisingly interesting when you travel. The products may be different. The snacks may be unfamiliar. The local brands may tell you something about the country. You don't need to eat every meal from a supermarket. But mixing restaurant meals with bakeries, markets, and grocery stores can help your budget go further. It can also give you more flexibility. Maybe you want a quick breakfast before catching a train. Maybe you need snacks for a long travel day. Maybe you want a simple picnic. These choices can make your trip easier without making it less special. And now we come to a mistake that can quietly affect your budget throughout the entire trip. Tip 7. Don't pay for convenience without realizing it. When you're traveling, convenience is valuable. Sometimes paying more is worth it. Maybe you are exhausted. Maybe you have limited time. Maybe you are traveling with children. Maybe you need food quickly before catching a train. There is nothing wrong with choosing convenience. The problem happens when you pay more without realizing you have other options. Before buying something, ask, am I paying for quality, or only for location? Is this the best option for me, or simply the closest one? Would I still choose this if I had 5 more minutes to look around? You don't have to make every decision perfectly, but asking these questions can help you become more intentional. A trip becomes expensive one small purchase at a time. An overpriced drink, a rushed meal, a snack bought in the busiest area, a restaurant chosen without checking the menu. None of these decisions may seem important by themselves, but together, they can affect your budget. And when you save money on things that don't matter much to you, you may have more to spend on experiences that do. A special activity, a museum, a local tour, a memorable meal, or even another day in a city you love. And there is another simple habit that can help you make better choices. Tip 8. Use reviews as a tool, not as the final answer. Online reviews can be useful. They can help you find restaurants. They can show you photos. They can reveal common complaints. But reviews should be one part of your decision, not the entire decision. Look for patterns. If many people mention the same problem, pay attention. If several reviews praise a particular dish, that may be useful. But remember that every traveler has different expectations. One person may love a busy restaurant. Another may find it too crowded. One person may want traditional food. Another may prefer something modern. Use reviews to gather information. Then combine them with what you see around you. Look at the menu. Check the location. Consider your budget. Think about what you actually want. The highest rated place is not always the best place for you. The goal isn't to find a restaurant that everyone loves. It's to find an experience you will enjoy. And that leads to one of the most important lessons in this entire video. Tip 9. Learn a few local words before you arrive. You don't need to become fluent. You don't need to understand every menu. But learning a few words can make your experience easier. Hello, please, thank you, excuse me, how much is this? Do you recommend something? Even a small effort can help you feel more confident. It may also make conversations more enjoyable. A smile and a polite greeting can go a long way. If you don't know the language, don't panic. Use translation tools. Point to the menu. Ask simple questions. Be patient. Travel is full of small communication challenges. But those challenges can become part of the adventure. And sometimes the best recommendations come from asking a simple question. What do you like to eat here? You may discover something you would never have found through a search engine. Tip 10. Give yourself time to wander. The final tip may be the most valuable. Don't plan every meal. Don't schedule every minute. Don't turn your entire trip into a checklist. Leave room to wander. Some of the best travel experiences happen when you are not rushing. You notice a bakery. You smell something cooking. You see a small cafe filled with people. You hear music coming from a quiet street. And because you have time, you decide to explore. That moment may become one of your favorite memories. Travel is not only about reaching famous places. It is also about noticing what happens between them. So give yourself permission to slow down. Walk without a destination. Take a different street. Sit somewhere and observe. You may discover that the most authentic part of your trip wasn't a place you researched. It was a place you found by accident. Conclusion: avoiding tourist traps doesn't mean avoiding popular places. It doesn't mean refusing to eat near famous landmarks. And it doesn't mean assuming every tourist restaurant is bad. It means traveling with awareness. Compare before choosing. Check menus. Explore a few streets beyond the busiest areas. Try local food. Visit bakeries and markets. Use reviews wisely. And leave room for unexpected discoveries. The goal is not to have a perfect trip. The goal is to make choices that help you enjoy the trip you actually want. Because Europe has so much more to offer than the places everyone already knows. Sometimes the best meal is hidden on a quiet street. Sometimes the best memory happens when your plans change. And sometimes all you need to do is walk a little farther. Now I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever fallen into a tourist trap while traveling? Or have you discovered an amazing restaurant or food experience away from the busiest tourist areas? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience may help another traveler plan a better trip. If you found this video helpful, please like the video and subscribe to Travel Wander for more Europe travel tips, honest experiences, and practical advice. And if you're planning your first trip to Europe, watch my video about the travel mistakes I wish someone had told me before my first trip. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and never stop wandering.